It was the year 1775, and Patrick Henry made the bold statement, "Give me liberty or death," and the course of American history would change forever. However, before the Revolutionary War, when the British were overthrown and the USA was born, another group lived by a similar motto. This group would come to be known as pirates. The age of colonial America was also known as the Golden Age of Pirates, with names like Edward Teach, also known as Blackbeard, Captain Kidd, and Anne Bonny, all would come to be living legends for their government-defying lawlessness. However, before the establishment of the United States, pirates were one of the main tools used by the British Empire to achieve their goal of domination over the seas. Through the use of pirates, they could bypass many laws and were used to loot, plunder, and wreak havoc on nations like Spain, France, and Holland, who were all vying for control of the New World. The hotspot for pirates pre to early 1700s was the Caribbean, but in the 13 colonies, which would later be the United States, their use was slightly different. Early piracy in the early to mid-17th century shows that piracy fueled a bulk of British colonization ventures. Both Virginia and Jamaica openly supported piracy in this period due to the ease of access to slaves through the Columbian Exchange. Many other colonial governors also publicly conducted business with pirates. At the end of the 17th century, the British started to systematically hunt down pirates due to their usefulness waning since Britain had an established foothold in the New World. But as time went on, their use became more covert and undercover, with piracy officially being made illegal and the punishment for it death. However, leading up to the Revolution, a divide was being formed between Britain and its American colonies. Britain tried to enforce the same laws, but due to the vast distance between them and the time it took for information to travel between the Empire and America, local governors started doing their own thing. In 1713, the British and Spanish empires signed an asiento under the Treaty of Utrecht, which allowed the British Empire to control the slave trade for 30 years. This directly impacted pirates, as many pirates dealt in the slave trade. Before the asiento, pirates were not the bloodthirsty and ruthless creatures that many wrote about. Instead, many pirate captains formed their own codes of conduct. But after 1713, the British Empire declared all-out war on pirates and sought to end them completely. But this only fueled the rebel sailors and led them to commit more bloodthirsty acts. This is when Blackbeard and his kind of pirates saw their peak. But after many long years of war and resistance to the crown, their influence would slowly start to subside. By the mid-1700s, it looked like pirating was a thing of the past. But their revolutionary spirit and refusal to serve a king didn't go anywhere. By 1775, the 13 colonies had enough of the British. Taxes were too high, laws were taking too long to pass, and communication between the massive empire was causing problems for them. Freedom started to enter the minds of the population, and the colonial Americans decided enough was enough. The American Revolution began due to many factors that most of you are probably aware of. A distinct culture had begun to emerge in America, and they no longer saw themselves as British. That, combined with a lack of support and high taxes, ignited the revolution, and by 1776 it was in full swing. But, although determined and willing to die for their freedom, defeating the biggest empire of all time was no easy task. There were many battles and too many factors to mention that finally resulted in the independence of the United States. But one super cool contributor to the war effort was the resurgence of pirates and their help in defeating the British. Although the colonies had the land advantage due to fighting on home turf, Britain still controlled the largest navy in the world. And if they couldn't find a way to neutralize it, things weren't going to end well. By the war, pirates were a dying breed, but like a phoenix being reborn from the ashes, they would return. Congress summoned pirates and sailors from all over America and the Caribbeans and gave them a legal pass to continue their outlaw lives, just like the British had done years before. Their name was changed from pirates to privateers to make them sound, let's say, more professional or legal. but they changed in name only. They were given a pass to raid any ships they wanted, to plunder wherever they could as long as their main targets were the British Navy and trade ships. These they found through word of mouth or newspaper ads. One of these ads, posted in the Boston Gazette on November 13, 1780, invites those who love their country and want to make their fortune at one stroke to come to the nearby wharf for a hearty welcome and a pint of grog. At the time, Britain still had hundreds of ships in American waters, so the privateers didn't attack them directly. But their main targets were merchant ships and trade vessels, with the aim of hitting Britain where it really hurt in its economy. 55,000 sailors served as privateers in the Revolutionary War. Patriot pirates during the Revolutionary War mostly remained in the Long Island Sound as their sanctuary. These Patriot pirates seized and destroyed 600 British vessels and raided many Loyalist regions along the coast. They also participated in the Battle of Halifax, Nova Scotia. By the end of the Revolution, privateers had looted $18 million, $302 million in modern currency, in assets. Just like in the golden age of piracy, some legendary names would be born, like Nathaniel Tracy, received 23 letters of marque, commanded 24 vessels, captured 120 British ships, and confiscated cargo with a net worth of $3,950,000. The most famous of these was John Paul Jones, and he'd make his appearance on the battlefield in 1778. Born in Scotland, John was a lifelong sailor and became captain for the first time after slaying a mutinous crew member with a sword. By the start of the Revolution, he'd have a reputation for cruelty and soon was arrested. He was released on bail and fled the British Isles to join the revolutionaries. Now an American and at war with those he used to call kinsmen, his job was to take the fight to British waters. There are many epic tales of John Paul Jones fighting British ships, raiding ports, and all sorts of stuff you'd expect from a pirate. He didn't always win, but always managed to get away, and his presence in British waters started to irritate and seriously harm their morale. John Paul Jones and his exploits deserve a video of its own, but let's just say he did so well he would return to America as a hero. And after the war would come to be known as the father of the American Navy. His heart was always in piracy, though, as after the war ended, and there was no one left to fight. He pledged his allegiance to the Empress of Russia and continued his seafaring endeavors in the Black Sea, but that's a story for another time. So there you have it. Pirates played a crucial role in the victory over the British and the freedom that America earned through blood, bravery, and sometimes barbaric acts. Pirates were one of Britain's first main opponents, and their ideas of freedom, a seed that eventually would sprout into the action that would topple the largest empire of all time. We hope you enjoyed this tale and check out our channel for more of history's craziest characters and events